Tesla third quarter numbers are in, production deliveries and energy deployments. Production 1,796 vehicles produced, almost as many delivered. The vast majority, as always, the Model 3 and Y, Model S, X and Cybertruck accounting for just over 26,000 vehicles produced. An important milestone for the quarter, 6.9 gigawatt hours of energy storage deployments as well. Keeping in mind, Tesla's energy storage business extremely volatile and extremely lumpy. James Stevenson posting this excellent chart providing some perspective. Tesla's global deliveries, we're looking at Q3 from 2013 to 2014, just over a decade. As we can see, the trend up in an exponential fashion. Never a straight line, of course. It's always worth looking at things over the long term and trying to identify the trend rather than getting too bogged down over the very short term. Back in 2013, Q3 Tesla delivers 5,500 vehicles. 2 years later, 11,609 vehicles. So a doubling in deliveries within 2 years. The following quarter, 24,500. Another doubling. Then fairly flat, 26,152. Why would that be? Well, Model 3 had been unveiled in 2016, first half of the year, if I recall. Production had not yet commenced though. And through 2017, ramping Model 3 production, the goal wasn't easy, remember production hell? But Tesla really started to hit their stride in the third quarter of 2018. After what appeared to be a fairly flat 2016 to 2017, suddenly deliveries for the quarter in 2018 in Q3 roughly tripling from 2017 on the successful ramp of Model 3. Then another fairly flat year-over-year change in Q3 deliveries, 83,000 or so, 97,000 or so, and then suddenly what happened here? 139,000, 241,000. We go vertical. What happened? That was the successful volume ramp of the Model Y. So why the brief history lesson on Tesla Q3 deliveries? Well, in case you've forgotten, not only has Tesla announced some interim vehicles, lower cost to produce, some of the learnings from the modular manufacturing system coming soon, but Tesla's already told us, they've detailed the entire thing. They have a new, they call it the unboxed manufacturing system, going to be targeting a selling price, not inflation adjusted, of around $25,000 for a next generation of vehicles. We've seen multiple examples when Tesla releases a new product that either is more affordable and or has a much larger total addressable market, a surge in vehicle deliveries, typically preceded by a quieter / flatter period. 2016 to 17, 2018 to 2019, and guess what? 23 to 24. With the next gen vehicle around $25,000, we're likely to see this play out once again. But if you're focused like a moron on right now, you might say, oh my God, that's not very much growth. Oh, it's the end of the world. As I always say, if in doubt, zoom out. So let's see how the media is reacting to Tesla's Q3 production and delivery numbers.
We do have it, Carl, and sometimes those numbers are pretty darn close to the estimate. Tesla delivering 462,890 vehicles in the third quarter. The estimate on the street was for 462,000. So we're not going to see a whole lot of reaction in Tesla shares today. This is the first time since the fourth quarter that Tesla posted a gain, a positive year-over-year gain, or an increase, I should say, in sales. Last year, they're roughly in line with where they were in terms of total deliveries. But this is the number that people were expecting, 462,890, producing 470,000 vehicles in the fourth quarter, in the third quarter. And we also have the date for when Tesla will report its Q3 numbers, which is on the 23rd. After the bell. So again, Tesla coming in as expected, 462,890 vehicles, just a smidge more than the street was expecting. Guys, I'll send it back to you.
Hey, Phil, I'm going to bring you into the conversation we were just having because Jim was bringing up the idea, at what point does the increasing number of EVs actually start to affect the demand for gasoline? I don't know when we...
David, spoiler alert, it's already happening. Toyota's global vehicle production has fallen for 7 consecutive months, including 11% month over month in the most recent month. We have companies across the board slashing, automotive companies that is, slashing their production forecasts, their revenue forecasts, their profitability forecasts. They are currently in free fall. They are collapsing. It may be a little hard to notice because right now, electric vehicles roughly 10% or so of all new vehicles sold. But a couple of years ago, that was 1%. And a few years before that, it was 0.1%. With each successive week, month, quarter, and especially year, it's going to become increasingly more noticeable as electric vehicles completely disrupt the sales of internal combustion engine vehicles. And as I said before, it's going to create a death spiral. It's not just that consumers are adopting EVs and more electric vehicles will be sold. It's that during that process, companies already at scale, Toyota, Volkswagen, pick your legacy automotive manufacturer, companies making very thin profit margins on their internal combustion engine vehicles that they're selling in the many millions, in some cases 10, 11 million units per year on a good year, will now be struggling to sell even close to their previous peak sales in a single year. Yet their business, their production lines, their headcount, all optimized for their maximum steady state scale. If you're a company who previously was selling, call it 10 million internal combustion engine vehicles a year, and then the following year, you struggle to sell 8, and then you struggle in the following year to sell 5.5, you're in big fucking trouble because you have many fixed costs that don't come down as your sales decline, meaning the cost to produce the vehicles you're still selling actually increases, meaning your paper-thin profit margins become razor-thin, and then they turn negative. And then, wait a minute, if you're losing money selling vehicles, why even bother selling them? Just file for bankruptcy. That's how this is going to play out. It was easy to ignore electric vehicle sales, disrupting sales of the internal combustion engine when they had a market share of 1%, 2%, 3%. You could ignore that. You could delude yourself into thinking, oh, it's just a bit of volatility. They're not going to stick around. But for EVs now, 10+% of all new vehicles sold globally, and that's only increasing. We already know the answer to David's question. These companies are already starting to feel it, and this collapse is going to accelerate. Keep in mind, however, it's a sensitive topic because one of the largest advertisers in the finance media as a category happens to be automotive companies. So, call me a conspiracy theorist, probably true, but I suspect that given the guys in the suits on CNBS know who butters their bread, they're probably not just going to come out and say, yeah, all the legacy automotive companies are completely, utterly fucked. They'll be out of business within a decade, even if that happens to be true.
Get to that point. I mean, we're at still very low percentages, aren't we, in terms of ownership worldwide?
We're not there, David.
We're not, right? Yeah.
Yeah, worldwide, I mean, you definitely are seeing the growth in China certainly impacting the demand for ICE vehicles in that market, which is the largest market in the world in terms of vehicle sales. But we're not seeing it definitely here in the United States. In terms of vehicles sold, it's going to be about 9% relative to the rest of the market. ICE is still about 79, 80%, and then hybrids coming in at about 11 or 12%. So you're seeing the slow erosion in the ICE market, but definitely not to the point where you can say EVs are telling people, look, you don't need to buy an ICE vehicle, and therefore gasoline demand is dropping.
Well, Phil, Jim, is this the last thing that happens before we start talking about autonomous and the big day? Because I've got to tell you, Phil, the expectation,
yes.
We don't have a lot of things out there that I just hear people are so excited about other than this day. It's really rather amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. It is the thing that everybody is focused on for two reasons, Jim. First of all, we finally will get greater clarity about Elon's Robotaxi vision. More than simply someday we're going to have these vehicles and they're all going to drive us out on the road. We've heard that for years. And frankly, I don't think it moves the needle anymore. What people want to hear next week from Elon Musk is, what the vehicles will look like. And we've heard some things.
I'm kind of laughing because this is true. I think people do want to know what the vehicles look like, but they shouldn't need to want to know. Like, it shouldn't move the needle to see what it looks like. Oh, pretty picture. Oh, real vehicle. Oh, prototype. Who cares? What matters is what they're going to do, which is drive autonomously and print crazy amounts of money for Tesla. But hey, look, I understand human psychology. A lot of investors want to see a physical vehicle and go, oh, they actually are serious after all. But until that point, people just tend to ignore the possibilities of autonomy. So they're right, but it just shouldn't move the needle. What would actually move the needle is if Tesla gives us clarification. For example, they say, look, we've actually spoken to regulators who've given us tentative approval. It's now up to us whether or not we pull the trigger and start operating robotaxis in this particular pocket of this particular city, most likely California or not. If Tesla tells us explicitly what their platform fee will be, what they're charging per mile, some actual clarity around the specific numbers, could argue might move the needle. Because now the level of uncertainty goes from a guessing game in terms of valuing this opportunity to a bit more clarification. But investors seeing a vehicle, a dedicated robotaxi, shouldn't make any difference at all because we know it's coming. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It's going to be engineered to be as efficient as possible. 500,000 mile, a million mile electric motor, going to be fast to produce from a tiny factory footprint, and Tesla's going to make as many of these things as fast as they can. The real question I have about this event, and I'm still not sure what the answer will be, is whether or not Tesla's actually going to give us any explicit detail that I haven't already estimated in my valuation model. Will they say, here's our platform fee, we're going to charge this percent, here's how much we're charging per mile initially, and our plan over time is to get to this amount per mile. Here's when we first begin operating our robotaxis. Whether or not they've had conversations with regulators to the point of knowing the threshold for safety they need to prove through data to begin operating and where they are in relation to that. And importantly, whether or not they're willing to disclose information around agreements to license their technology, their FSD software. I'm not expecting any of that. It'd be nice though, but I'm not expecting it. In other words, I'm not expecting this to move the needle. I don't think I'll be making major changes to my valuation model after this event. If I do, it'll mean that my estimates have been wildly inaccurate.
Things being leaked out about the possibility that it'll be a slightly different design, almost more of a micro car, if you will, as one possibility. And B, when will we see these actually start to go into the market, albeit in geofenced areas? They're not going to be widespread all over the world, but in geofenced areas. And how much clarity does he give us in terms of the growth that he expects? That's what people are focused on. And then second to that is also, do they tell us, look, in the meantime, we're also going to be focused on delivering a lower priced vehicle to the market? There is no doubt that when you look at the demand for the Model 3 or the Model Y, the reason those are so strong, so successful, is because of the pricing that they come at. That's where the market in EVs is headed.
So I understand Phil's point here, but I'm actually going to disagree, although I kind of agree. The reason that the Model 3, and in particular the Model Y, is selling so well is not actually because of the price. It's because of the value they offer. Now, if you offer infinite value, but the price is not affordable, no one can buy the product. But it's not actually price that's driving this. It's the quality of the product, the value proposition. Price is secondary. And I can easily demonstrate this. If we look at the world's best-selling vehicle, Model Y, its price point is roughly 60% higher than number 2. If price was what mattered most to consumers, or the only factor, and not value, then surely a vehicle 60% lower to purchase in terms of its price would be outselling the Model Y. But that's not the case. Now, to be clear, consumers are very sensitive to price. But Tesla's strategy isn't to make the cheapest possible vehicle. Instead, it's to make an absolutely killer product that offers exceptional value, as affordably as possible. That's the distinction. One category killer per category. That's why they're slaying it. It's not cheap, it's value. Of course, with Tesla's next generation vehicle at a much lower purchase price with equivalent or comparable value, oh boy, it is game fucking over for the so-called competition. Price matters, but it's value driving Tesla's astronomical sales.
Lower priced vehicles. So if he comes out and he says, look, we're going to come out with something even lower priced and can give us some clarity there, I wouldn't be surprised if you see the shares move higher.
All right, I just got to say one more thing on this. I don't know why people are expecting Tesla would potentially discuss a lower priced vehicle at this autonomy event. I'm happy to be proven wrong. I mean, it does happen occasionally, and I'll make a big deal about it if it occurs. But bro, just think about this logically. Why in the fuck, at an event for Tesla investors, specifically relating to autonomy, that's going to get a lot of coverage in the media, especially the finance media, but it's not really a for the general public type of an event. It's a recruiting event / an investor event. Why would Tesla signal to the world, hey, don't buy a Model 3 or a Model Y now. Instead, just wait, because soon we're going to have a vehicle that's comparable, offers equivalent value, but it's much more affordable. So don't buy a 3 or Y now. Instead, just wait until the new vehicle comes out. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Here is my prediction. We already know, by the way, that the more affordable vehicle is coming. Tesla's told this previously, so we already know. There's no need for them to mention this again, especially at this event. They've already signaled to investors what's around the corner. You don't need to double down on this, especially at an event that's going to get this much attention. My prediction is that the delay between Tesla actually showing, and this is important, showing consumers their next generation vehicle, the one they're selling to consumers, not the Robotaxi, and first deliveries will be the shortest of any product in Tesla's history to date. E.g., product unveil, bit of fanfare, oh, by the way, you can order one right now, deliveries start in a millisecond. Otherwise, a bunch of consumers will just decide, oh, fuck it, I don't need a 3 or Y, I'll just buy the more affordable vehicle. You'd be insane to do that as a company. Their sales would collapse temporarily as a lot of consumers, because you understand, right, I'm talking about value and price before. A lot of consumers who today are buying a 3 or Y are only doing that because there's not a more affordable alternative offering equivalent value. But if there is, If instead of dropping $40,000, $45,000 for 3 or Y, a consumer can drop $30,000, $35,000 for an equivalent vehicle, many consumers go, well, I'm not going to spend the extra 10 grand. Why would I do that? I don't need it. It's just right now they don't have a choice. Just like when the S was out, people didn't have a choice. If you could afford it, you buy it. But as soon as the Model 3 comes out, a lot of consumers who previously would have bought a Model S were like, well, I'll just get a 3, save myself some money. In other words, the odds of Tesla explicitly describing a more affordable vehicle for consumers in any meaningful detail at this autonomy event is about 0.000420690%. It's possible, but extremely unlikely.
But the details on Robotaxi, that's what people are focused on.
Yeah, well, the Cybertruck, was that just a big mistake and a big waste of time in terms of getting them to that lower cost vehicle?
Is this real life? Now, clearly, David doesn't spend a lot of time outside of his bubble. Every A-list celebrity, every S-tier celebrity owns one of these things, is flexing it constantly. The attention that this has brought to Tesla as a brand. And sales, production, they're ramping up. It's slow, it's complicated, it's new. Is this a real question? I think I know where he's going with this. I can predict it, in fact. What he's got to do now is point to the other vehicle sales, which includes the S, the X, and the Cybertruck, and go, oh, look, this number isn't surging quarter over quarter, therefore the Cybertruck must be a flop. So a couple of things, because I know I can see where it's going right now. He's pointing at his screen, he's got the numbers, I can see it. My spider sense is tingling. A couple of things. In fact, let's get to the numbers right now. Q4 2023, the other models category, this is before Cybertruck starts having an impact, 18,212 produced. That's in the fourth quarter. First quarter 2024, 20,995. Second quarter, 24,255. Third quarter, 26,128. So trending up. We just looked at a few quarters, in fact, 4 of them. 18, 21, call it, 24, 26, trending up. Additionally, some number of consumers who previously would have opted for a Model X or Model S, probably more Model X, go, you know what? Fuck it, I'm going to get a Cybertruck. It'll tick the same boxes and it's cool as fuck. So there's going to be some, quote, cannibalization. So just recapping, coolest vehicle on planet Earth, everyone who's anyone, so to speak, owns one, sales growing, lifting the entire category of, quote, other models, still early, still ramping, a long way to go, more volume in the future, completely redefine what vehicle architecture is, debuted the 48-volt architecture, steer-by-wire, entire new electronic, like this is a new platform, right? Tesla produced the Cybertruck almost as a means of, like almost like a beta test of this next-gen platform. The same platform that we're going to see in their Robotaxi in their future vehicles. So it had to happen. Just like with the Model S and X, Tesla debuts technology that eventually finds its way into the 3 and Y. So is Cybertruck a flop, a failure? What did he say? No, it's not. But please ask the question. Let's see what these people who, by the way, definitely don't know who butters their bread, aka legacy automotive companies, and therefore will be totally reasonable about this.
David, I know, but it's
numbers
they're
are
growing.
Numbers are
deliveries.
good. But numbers are good. Phil's right. Numbers are good for the Cyber.
Hey, wow. Impressed. Jim appears to have actually looked at the numbers. David seems confused. Maybe he's been given bad information. I mean, the look of puzzlement on his face. We just went over the quarterly deliveries in that category, right? The trend literally up quarter after quarter after quarter after quarter. Is David looking at the same numbers? Surely he's not going to say, oh, the number's not very big yet, because the trend is what matters.
They're not huge at this point, David. Are they as big as the Model 3 and the Model Y? No. But they are growing production and growing.
Nice. I've got to give credit both to Jim and Phil. They've done their homework. They've just said, they've recognized the numbers are actually growing quarter over quarter over quarter, which we've just looked at. Credit where it's due. Often CNBS get it wrong. In this case, at least these two, on point. David, that look of confusement on his face.
Growing deliveries. And look, you see them more and more when you're out, driving around. I see them more and more, and not just in the areas where you expect to see them, where there's heavy EV adoption, but in areas where you don't expect to see them, you start to see them a little bit more. I wouldn't call it a failure. Look, did they zig while the market zagged in terms of looking for a lower price vehicle? Absolutely. And that's why Elon Musk did a 180 in the first quarter, and he said, we got to come out with a lower priced vehicle. And that's what they're going to be.
Wait, what? What? Oh, I was just trying to figure out what he was saying. I think I understand it. He's talking about the interim range of products. It'll get Tesla to about 3 million units per year. I get it now. I was kind of confused for a second.
Expected to announce at the Q3 results.
Well, Phil, just
next week.
To go back on the Cybertruck, they did pass the Mustang Mach-E sales in the month of July.
Yeah, they're growing, Jim. they're growing. And
last I recall, Jim's, quote, charitable trust, by the way, don't look into what that actually is and means, had a very large position in Ford. In fact, it was the top holding at some point. I don't know if it still is. Jim sounded a little surprised.
And look, I understand people will sit there and say, it's never going to be as big as the Model 3 and Model Y. It was never going to be as big as those. And who knows where they ultimately get to. They've targeted 250,000 a year. I don't know. Do I think they get to 250? Hard to tell at this point. But clearly, they are growing their production and their sales.
He's right. And interestingly, I recall not that long ago, I don't know if Phil specifically was laughing, but a lot of people ridiculing Tesla at the very idea that Cybertruck would get even close to 250,000 sales per year. Now, Phil's, I can't say if they'll get there or not. In other words, this is a tacit admission that it's possible. The tide is definitely starting to turn. And after all that, I just wanted to remind everybody that I give approximately zero fucks about Tesla's quarterly vehicle deliveries. All eyes are on their 1010 event. As I said before, and I'll continue to say, autonomy, Tesla's Robotaxi business, is going to dwarf their automotive business to the point where people are going to forget Tesla even ever made or sold vehicles. What's a gross automotive margin? Who cares, bro? You know, once upon a time, Amazon was just an online store selling books. Well, in the future, I'll be saying once upon a time, Tesla was just an electric vehicle company selling electric vehicles. And can you believe 1010's like a week away? That's it. Can't wait. Want more content? Early access? Bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 is awesome. I've been taking it daily now for more than 3 years. It's a great way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's packed full of vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus has prebiotics, probiotics, and adaptogens to improve gut health, regularity, and help your body handle stress. I'm always looking for an edge to help me feel and perform my best, which is why I haven't missed a day of AG1 for more than 3 years. And I haven't missed a daily video in more than 3 years. Must be a coincidence, right? Just try it and see how you feel. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. But don't take my word for it. This is what viewers of the channel had to say after trying AG1. I feel like I have a lot more energy since I started on AG1. By the way, viewer, that makes 2 of us. On to the next. Just got my AG1 in the mail. Legit feeling the effects after day 3. This viewer's been taking AG1 for 8 months and says, what an investment. Another. 3 months ago, I started AG1 and have been enjoying the evenness of alertness and energy that lasts the day. I just started the wife on it too. Are you convinced yet? I mean, hey, it's worth trying, right? Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR or I can keep going. Plenty more to come. This viewer, after about a month on AG1, definitely a lack of fatigue in the afternoon. Pleasant side effect is that my coffee intake has imploded and is almost down to 0. One more? Yeah, why not? I honestly feel younger and will be continuing to use AG1. This stuff really is crazy good. I didn't think it would be, but this stuff is awesome. It really is what everyone is saying. One more? Don't mind if I do. I've just received my 3rd month supply. I've drank it every day. I have so much energy throughout most of the day. I'm productive, started a new business, started socializing, refurbished a boat. It's no coincidence. Thank you for your persistence, your integrity, and your insights. Now look, these are not my words. These are not my testimonials. This is what you guys and girls are saying. Maybe it's 100% placebo effect. But even if that's the case, I think it's money well spent. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. If you're still skeptical, hey, I don't blame you. Everyone on the planet seems to be promoting AG1 now, but guess what? They weren't nearly 3 years ago when I had this to say privately to my Patreon audience before there was a relationship, when I was asked about what I was doing for my health, energy, and so on. Just sharing my genuine, honest thoughts about a product I'd recently discovered that was at the time called Athletic Greens, now AG1. If I could only recommend one supplement to take, Athletic Greens, and I'm not getting paid to say this, Athletic Greens is a fucking game changer. I cannot believe how effective this is. No longer having a lack of energy in the afternoons. It's fucking amazing. There's only one thing to recommend seriously. Try Athletic Greens. You won't go back. So obviously, just like Elon Musk is a liar, a fraud, a con man, a scammer, a fake engineer, and Tesla's going bankrupt, you shouldn't trust that guy from about 3 years ago who, without any financial incentive, was promoting this product to his audience on Patreon when they were asking about health and what he's doing for supplements. Because obviously, there was some other reason he recommended that, obviously. Not sure what it was, but don't trust that guy. And all the testimonials, like my mental game's improved with AG1. I feel better than ever. I'm so impressed I've bought it for both my parents. I feel more focused and have better digestion. Incredible difference. No more afternoon fatigue. It's relieved gut issues. These are all just obviously fake testimonials from fake people. Right? Wrong. just try it. Unless you hate yourself. If you hate yourself and you don't even want to risk possibly feeling better, this is not for you. But for everyone else, what's the worst that could happen? Try it for a month. See how you feel. It's a no-brainer. Just click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR. You'll get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 and K2 plus 5 travel packs. And you'll take the colossal risk that maybe you might have a similar experience to some of the people whose testimonials we've read in this video.